What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Dewey's character was done dirty in Scream 2022. Now, this was an interesting thing, and one that obviously we talked about Dewey's, and spoilers, his death, okay? We talked about that and talked about if it was the right thing or the wrong thing to do, maybe if they thought it through. Obviously, the idea of Amber being the one to do it upset people, but, a while ago, I was on a live stream, and Master Chaos TV, he had talked about Dewey's character, and so I want to give him a shout out because I think he's a real smart guy. I don't know if he watches my videos, so I am doing this out of the kindness of my own heart. But no, he seems like a great guy, and he talked about Dewey's character in terms of how he thinks like they butchered him, kind of making him go down that angle of borderline being a drunk, right? Kind of just being this loser, and I thought, what, that's a good point, or at least it's something to bring up. And it's like, well, is there any validity to that? And so I wanted to talk about that with you guys in this video. So number one, I want to hear from you guys in the comments, and number two, I'll just kind of say my my part to this. I'm really conflicted. I am, because when I think about this movie, I really like how Dewey was used. I do. Just flat out, if I'm going with my gut reaction, I loved how I guess important he was from start to finish. He was easily, I would consider him a main character. He was more of a main character than Sidney and Gale, and I think they probably did that because of the end result with him, right? Almost like a Han. And I don't like comparing these movies to the new Star Wars trilogy, even though I get a sixth sense that that's probably what they're going for, or what maybe it's a little too close to. But I mean, he really, I think, assumed the role of Han in Episode 7 is really what I think Dewey did here. Obviously, there's some character aspects that are taken and not used, but I really think overall that's kind of the role he served. So I think gut reaction, I liked the amount of time we had with him. He had the comedy, he had some seriousness, some of which we've never seen before. I loved his conversation with Gale, even if it did make him seem like not a good person, or maybe he's not a good person, right? But then you have all the discussions of behind the scenes of he had done scenes with Courtney Cox where he like even went more deep into like, oh, I'm such a loser, like I'm pathetic, and then, they cut those things out. They didn't even want to use them. We had the deleted scene with Vince in the bar, which I really think showed Dewey more as a drunk, right, than any other time in the movie. Although again, I think it's implied that he his life has completely gone down the gutter. He doesn't have anybody anymore, and he's kind of wasting his life away sitting here. Now he still does have happiness, and again, those are kind of the aspects I really like. So I guess my question, even to you guys, or my question to myself as I'm talking out loud, is, can you remove some of the, did they butcher his character? Did they take him too far down, making him a loser? Can you take those parts away and still have the overall like gravity that he brought to the movie? And I don't actually know, I don't know the answer to it. I think overall, I like what they did with his character, because again, he was such a big part of it. And then when he died, he really, like, the reasoning the movie kept going, you could argue, is because of Dewey. You know what I mean? It's why Sam made the decision of what she was going to do with Tara and leaving. It's why Sidney and Gale even stuck around in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, it brought Sidney back, which is what we actually theorized. I guess we were right in that way, right? So, like, all of those things happened. The last 45, 50 minutes of the movie happened because of Dewey. So really, he was, I would honestly say, the anchor of the film. And I like that. I mean, I like giving that character so much. I guess, again, though, to give even Master Chaos and what his idea is, I do see it, though. I do. Because also, I will say, on the more maybe controversial side, or just on the opposite side, when I think of his character in 1 through 4, does who he is in 5 match them? And honestly, guys, the answer's, in my opinion, no. He is a pretty different character. I want to give it like a percent, you know what I mean? Because I still do think he was there. Like, the heart of Dewey was there. And every single word he said, he still has that kind of awkwardness, kind of like funny personality to him, right? He still has that. When he texts Gale and he says, like, I probably shouldn't have done the smiley face, or, stuff like that. Or, maybe you're the killer because that cut deep. Like, you can tell it's still him. You know what I mean? But, besides some of that stuff, and I'm sure there's more, by the way, I'm missing, besides that, he really is a different character in a lot of ways in this movie. Now, I guess you could argue, well, it's been, I guess historically it's been like 10, 11 years since the events of Scream 4. So, and it's been 25 years since, 1, 2, and 3. I mean, those obviously happened in semi-close proximity to each other. So it's like, well, can somebody change? Can you, especially when you go down a life of just messing up continuously, right? Like and I guess what I'm trying to get at, right, is what the movie was, I guess, trying to say is he made one big mistake, okay? I guess what the movie's saying is, he tried, so Gale tried to stay with him, okay, obviously like in 4, and then he tried, in between, to stay with her. He tried to, they tried to swap the thing and say, well, can you come with me as I try to live my life and how I want to do, can you do that with me? And the answer was he couldn't do it, honestly, much in the way that Gale couldn't do it, but Gale, I think, handled it a lot better than what they had Dewey, or how they had Dewey handle it, kind of behind the scenes, written in the character arcs of these people. He leaves her in the middle of the night. He doesn't talk to her, oh my God. So I would say like the thing is, right, just like maybe not the same way, but like Amber killing Dewey, right? Like Dewey dying, I don't think was the issue. I think it was because, it was Amber, and it's like you have to I guess either accept or you don't accept like the height and the strength levels and all that stuff, right? For this, it's like, well, you either accept that he can do that to Gale, and he can really, and because that one decision is going to mess up the, or I guess it's not going to mess up. It'll either mess up or it's going to work out for the rest of his life. And his life would, like these characters continue to live, or they're supposed to, right? In our minds, in the lore, in the canon of these films, even when the films aren't going on, okay? So, like, I do understand it. Like, these characters can change. There can be character changes to them, but it's like, I don't know if they went too far with him. I would say this, so to end the discussion, my final thoughts on it, and I think I said this in the live stream, you'll have to see if maybe I changed my mind or not. I like his character. I respect what they did with him. I don't think they made him like a joke in any way, any more so than he already, he's not a joke character, but there is a joke kind of element to his character. Is that fair? Does that make sense? That's at least the sense that I get. So I think he obviously went down a darker, more kind of like gritty, more depressing path in this movie, and it's like, I don't know, the entire movie really was kind of around him, which I really respect, but I will say, to the counterpoint of him changing so much that it didn't even feel like Dewey, I would say, I get it. I kind of noticed that too. It's not like I was like, oh, this is easily the same Dewey that we've seen in 1 through 4. Like, you can tell this is different. And so I would say I really do get the argument of, I guess what the really, not even just Master Cast, just anybody that would be against Dewey's character in this would probably frame it more as like, well, did they assassinate, character assassinations? You probably hear that phrase. Did they assassinate the character of Dewey? I would say movies, shows, games have done much, much worse to disrespect the legacy and the characters and the actors. They've done much worse to disrespect them than Scream. You could, I would say you have a very strong ground to stand on to argue it for Dewey, and I would get it. I don't necessarily know if I would fully agree, but I totally understand it. But I would also counter with, I think it's been done so much worse that and you could argue actually back to me and say, well, just because it's not as bad as some of the worst stuff, that doesn't mean it's great. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I don't want to dumb down or lower my expectations just because I've seen so much garbage where it's like, oh, well, this is slightly less, so I'm going to say it's so amazing. Like, I don't want to come off that way. And I really don't think I do, or I don't think I ever have. So I get it. It's a tough discussion. It really is. I would side with, I liked how they handled him, but I do get the change. Like, he was very, very much, for a majority of it, or the majority of his actions and the portrayal of him, he really was a different Dewey than in the past. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. All my social media, as always, is in the description below if you guys want to check it out. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next Scream video.